waterlily716, and today I want to record a different sort of video for you guys. I posted about this series a long time ago on my social media and it just never got off the ground, but a lot of you really thought it was a good idea, so I decided I'm going to do a series of videos. This segment is called Body Wise. It's going to be about a range of topics like reproductive health, birth control, body image, self-love, maybe dating. So I just wanted to kind of open up this channel a little bit, and I thought those were topics that would appeal to you guys. And it's also reproductive health especially. It's just something I'm really interested in, and I think it's something as people in society, we don't talk about these experiences enough in our day-to-day conversations. So I just wanted to open up the platform of my channel, and I will share my experiences with things and my knowledge, which will always be shared from just like a personal perspective. None of this is a replacement for medical advice, but I want to share my perspective, and then I think we can open up the discussion, and just it will be a good space to talk about these sort of things. So that is what the Body Wise segment will be about. And if you have any questions you want answered in Body Wise, you can put them in the comments or send them to my email, which is always in the description box. Or if you just have suggestions for topics you think I should talk about, definitely let me know. Okay, so with that out of the way, the first topic I want to talk about today is my IUD, or intrauterine device, which is a form of birth control. I wanted to start with birth control and specifically the IUD, and then eventually I'll talk about like another form of birth control that I've used. But I think that a lot of times when you're younger, you really only hear about the pill and like sometimes the patch, and sometimes you don't like get all this info that you should get about birth control in schools. So I just want to share my experience with the IUD, and also sometimes women who are younger who haven't had children are discouraged from getting the IUD or a little bit scared about it because of reasons I'll get into later. So just wanted to add my perspective. I'm gonna have some notes, and I have kind of like a journal entry about it. So although I did get my IUD about almost 2 years ago now, I have some notes from before. So basically, what is an IUD? To start off, it's an intrauterine device. So it's this little T-shaped device. It's not very big at all. I'll put a picture over here that is inserted in the cervix, and then like the top of the T hangs out in the uterus, and there are strings at the bottom that hang out of the cervix inside the vagina, and it's a form of birth control. It's highly effective. There's two types of IUDs that they usually use in the US, and they're both over 99% effective. I'm gonna leave more like links with like exact statistics down below in the bottom. Yeah, so it's highly effective, and it lasts for a really long time. I have the Mirena IUD, and mine will last for 5 years. I wanted to get an IUD for a while, or I thought about the idea of it for a while, because you don't have to, you're good for 5 years. There's no daily pill, you don't have to change anything monthly, anything weekly, and I'm a very forgetful person. I forget to take other medicines and stuff, so other vitamins. So I never even entertained the idea of a daily pill, and I always was interested in the IUD. Yeah, and another thing about the Mirena specifically is that it can lead you to having no period or lighter periods, which also interested me. And it is the hormonal IUD that affects your hormones. And then on the other hand, the copper paragon IUD leads to most people having heavier periods. So that's pretty much why I decided to go with the Mirena. And I had used a hormonal form of birth control before, and like I didn't experience a lot of wacky side effects. So that's pretty much why I decided to go with the Mirena over the Paragard. Things that made me hesitant about getting an IUD were the insertion, because it is more painful if you haven't had kids, because I guess your cervix has never dilated before. I'll put up a picture of like women's anatomy in case you don't know where the cervix is. It's just a little nub that hangs out the top of your vagina and is like the entrance to your uterus, but because it's never been stretched before, and they have to stick something in there. Zero TMI in Body Wise, by the way, but because it's never been stretched before, it's a little bit painful for insertion, so that scared me a little bit about it. Also the side effects, I think I like looked up the Mirena on Facebook and I found this group of women, all the people that had bad side effects, and like listening to that fear mongering was not good. I went through it anyways because there are some bad side effects that can happen, or some bad complications that occasionally happen, but they happen to a very small percentage of women that get the Mirena, that get the IUD. So I just decided to go with it. But if you're interested in this, you should definitely research the side effects more and the complications that can happen, because it's a medical procedure. You know, you're putting something foreign in your body, so this may kind of freak people out about it a little bit. And then the last thing that is a barrier to some people would be that it's a bit expensive. I think they range from $400 to $600 if you're paying without insurance. If you don't have insurance, hopefully you can go to Planned Parenthood if you're in the US and still functioning in your state. If you do have insurance, it's not expensive. I think I just had to pay a copay. It was covered by my insurance. I was lucky. And yeah, so that wasn't really a barrier or a con for me, but I put that as like a possible con for some people. But one other thing I would say is if you do have money saved up, or if you do want to save up for it, like the price, since it lasts for 5 years and some of the other IUDs last for even longer, paying that upfront price is probably not more money than you'll spend on the long run if you're buying a pill, or especially I know some forms of birth control, like I was on the NuvaRing before, some of them are expensive per month, like more expensive than the pill. So while it might be less per month, like it adds up. So in the long run it's not expensive, but in the short run it is a big investment. So yeah, those are like the pros and cons. Yeah, I just want to kind of talk about my personal experience about what getting it was like. So basically, first thing I did was called up my insurance to double check that it was covered, and then I found out it was covered and I was like, yay! And then the next thing I did was make an appointment. I remember specifically that I dragged my feet about this, and it was before I was going abroad, and I really wanted this form of birth control because then I wouldn't have to mess with getting a new doctor when I was abroad. But I dragged my feet about it, but I did get one and I get an appointment for consultation, and then later the insertion of the IUD in time and everything. So I went in for my insertion and the doctor was great. She basically just went over my options in terms of either the Paragard or the Mirena. As far as the consultation, I don't remember a ton because I was already pretty set on getting the IUD and I had done a lot of research before. But I think I asked her about the side effects and about what the insertion's like, and then it was a pretty short consultation and I was scheduled for my insertion. I can't remember exactly which medication I got. I may have been prescribed like an anti-cramping pill or something, because you get pretty intense cramps after the IUD is inserted in the cervix, but I know that I think I took just like ibuprofen on the day of. And I remember I went in, but I was on my period, which isn't a problem, but might have made my cramps more intense, I don't know. And I remember basically you get up on those beds they have at the doctor's office, and then you put your feet in the stirrups or whatever they're called, and then the doctor basically goes through the process and inserts it. It's really quick, but I would say it was painful, but it's only like a couple minutes of pain as they get it in and make sure it's in properly. And like from a 1 to 10 scale, I'd say the pain was like a 6 or 7 during the insertion, but it's just like a couple minutes of insertion and then you're done. And then once it's inserted, they cut the strings that hang out of the IUD, and those hang out of your cervix, and you can feel them periodically to make sure that the IUD is still in the same place, which you're supposed to check pretty regularly. And yeah, I can feel mine. There's like these short little stubby strings. So then got insertion, and then I had pretty bad cramps for the rest of the day. I would say on a pain scale like 3 to 4, like kind of like my worst cramps get during my period normally. But I don't have like really intense cramps normally. But it was bad. Like I didn't feel that great for the rest of the day. But then the next day it was pretty much good to go. If I had to redo the procedure, I think I would request like topical anesthesia, because I know they can do that. But I think because it's so quick, they typically don't do that. But I would advise discussing that with your OBGYN before you get it inserted. If you have never had kids, I don't think it's supposed to be that painful at all if you have had kids. But yeah, from then on, I was pretty much smooth sailing. I didn't experience any withdrawal, bleeding, or spotting as far as I remember. And then I was still having periods for a little while. And like, you can use everything normal with them, like tampons, cups, whatever you want inside the vagina. During your period, you just have to be careful around the strings, like you don't want to pull them. But yeah, I had periods for a couple months and then they just got lighter and lighter until they disappeared. And now I don't have a period, which I have to say is pretty great. And you know, if I ever want to get pregnant someday, which I do, but not for the long future, then you can get the IUD taken out and you can immediately start trying to have a kid. And I haven't experienced any side effects that I know of. I weigh like 5 or 10 more pounds than I used to, like my senior year of college before I got it put in, but I don't really think that's because of the IUD. I think that's just like diet and stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much how my experience has been with the IUD. It's been a really positive experience and I would recommend it to almost anyone. I don't see any reason why anyone who wants to try birth control wouldn't try this method. Of course, I talked about the pros and cons, and if you're squeamish about insertion or you don't like pain, then it's not the most hassle-free method, definitely, but I think it's a great option because it kind of removes the option for error, which is good with birth control, especially if you worry about getting pregnant, or if it's just not an option for you. It's just really effective. And I love how blissfully free I am about thinking about my birth control. I don't have to think about it until I have to get the IUD taken out. So great for me. But I would say, you know, do your research. Everyone's different. Everyone's affected differently by each method of birth control. I'm not gonna say this is gonna work for everyone, but I really do like my IUD. So yeah, if any of you guys haven't had an IUD, please leave your comment about your experience down below in the comment section. And yeah, again, if you have any topics you want me to talk about in this body weight segment, let me know. I gotta run. I gotta go somewhere. I hope you guys liked this video and you learned something useful from it. So yeah, I will talk to you guys in the next video. So I'll see you guys in the next video for a regular hair/beauty video. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!